Hey folks, I'm Rob Swackhammer,
Hello, I am Tacocat Cosplay,
and
aka Kirsten.
and welcome to today's episode of Cosplay Conversations, where we're both going to talk about San Japan 2023. And we're actually doing something new today because we're actually streaming on both of our channels.
I
Um,
finally set the thing up. Also, hi Potato. I'm doing good. How are you?
so, oh man, hopefully nobody can hear my box band in the background because it's kind of warm here in Texas. But
I can't hear it.
thankfully Texas is going to cool off this week. Thank
Hey
God.
man, I went outside and it wasn't like death instantly today, so
Right,
that was good.
right, yeah. So San Japan was a time, and we mean that in a good way. One of our
In a very
cosplay
good way.
one of our cosplay friends saw one of our posts and like, oh man, that sounds bad. It's like, no, no,
Yeah,
no, no,
because
no,
you
no,
made
no,
it
no, no,
sound
no.
bad. Like it was like, oh no, let's talk about how awful it was, and it was not awful at all.
No, the exact and utter opposite, honestly.
Hmm
So,
hmm
but yeah, there's if you've kept up on Instagram and maybe a few other places like Discord, there was quite a bit that went on with
hmm
us during
hmm
SJ. All of it good.
Wait, I have the sound for this, which you're gonna see the soundboard pop up on Rob's thing. I apologize. But the way to describe our San Japan is
Okay, fair,
that
fair.
was an appropriate one, right?
Wrong game, but fair.
I,
Um,
I don't have any other like celebration sounds. That's the
yeah,
celebration sound.
yeah, true, true, true. Um, so one thing I want to talk about before we actually get into this year's San Japan.
Into the thick of it.
And yeah, don't play that song, please. So this was one thing actually I realized you and I hadn't really talked about on stream before, was actually all the times you've actually been to San Japan, just in general, either
hmm
as attendee, competing, or guesting, and we'll actually talk about the guesting bit here. So what has been your history with San Japan over the years?
So we first went in 2018 because Allie was like, "Hey, this is a great con. You guys should go." So we went. We competed. That's when we did our Lich King and Sylvanas.
Okay,
We had fun with it. That was the year. I think that's when we did the Fruit Maid group. I think it was that year at least,
okay, yeah.
and not the year after. No, I'm fairly certain it was the first year. We ended up winning a judges award for our Lich King stuff, and that
Mm-hmm.
year actually the contest was held in the theater, and the theater is amazing.
Yeah, which
um,
we'll talk about
so
that one
then
later.
in 2019 we went. We did not compete. Instead, we watched the contest from in the theater. That's gonna be a theme here is the theater. Um, then obviously there was not a convention in 2020. In 2021, I went. Lauren also went, but only I competed, which I got a judge's award from Weishi the Great and Powerful. Rob, if you want to click the sound, you can click the sound.
I can't.
It
I'm
is
not
your
gonna.
sound. You made
Yes,
it.
I know. I'm not gonna worry about it right now.
No, no, okay. Um, so then last year I was a judge for the contest, and then this year I was back on the other side of the table as a contest participant.
Yes,
Words, ooh, that
competitor.
competitor. There we
Yes,
go.
there we go. So, and actually, that was one thing I wanted to very specifically wanted to bring up was because since you were a judge last year at SJ, how did it feel being back on the other side of the table the year after?
Well, it was fun, but now I know more about like the schedule and all the judging they have to do for say in Japan because it is a pretty large contest, which means there
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of judging times. So your pre-judging time slots, which for those of you who aren't familiar with contests, um, most contests do have craftsmanship judging. Now, some of your performances can opt out of that if they're just in it for the skit aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But all of your walk-ons are going to be participating in craftsmanship judging. So that's when you bring your handy dandy build book and the judges get to flip seams and look at all the good
Mm-hmm.
stuff and ask you questions and learn how you made it. So a lot of time goes into that. And then in addition, there's some other things you do for the convention, like running panels and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. And also just like kind of knowing a bit more of the behind the scenes of the people running around and the moving parts to make things happen. So it gives you
Mm-hmm.
much more context and to just be there kind of like, oh, it's fine. We could wait a little longer. You guys have a lot going on, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's definitely more relaxing not to be like the oh Time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I was going to say, and for me, what was very interesting was because actually my first SJ was 2014, but not as an attendee. I
wow,
was actually
that was
on,
before I lived in Texas.
yeah, and it wasn't as an attendee. I was actually part of staff. I was actually part of main events doing photography, mostly for the musicians that had come in each year. And I
Okay.
did that from 2014 to 2017. And then after that, I literally did not attend San Japan until this year. I was supposed to be there last year
I was
to
about
do
to say
some
you were supposed to be there last year.
panels, but
Life
let's
said no.
life
It
said
chose
no.
violence.
Yeah, not violence to me specifically, but basically the place I'm living. Yeah, water coming in the back office. Yeah, that was not fun. Um, so and then
Not fun
also
at
I
all.
Yeah, and then also at times I would work with the Sweetness Maid Cafe when they were still there. Some of my favorite people. I really wish they could come
Hmm.
back. But that's maybe at some point that'll happen. Who knows? The one thing I wanted to bring up, especially with the differences between my time there and your time there, was actually seeing the change that happened to the Gonzales Center. Because when you first went, that's when they were working on the big expansion, as I said, on the western side.
Sure.
But basically, where Artist Alley, the two floor pieces,
Uh-huh.
where all of that was, that used to
Okay.
not be there.
Oh.
That used to be all on the eastern side.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they decided to go renovate the whole thing, they had the western side where everything is now, and the eastern side was just like gone, just completely gone. They're actually they're going to make a green space there, and it was really funny to actually now, because they were working on it the last time I was there, which was PAX South 2018, and just now to actually see it fully utilized. I think it's a good change, though I don't. The one thing I wasn't a fan of was having to walk all the way from the
Yeah,
Grand
that
Hyatt
sucked.
entrance to like where everything was, because they used to use the doors right there, like where those
Mm-hmm.
escalators are, right? That used to be an entrance point.
Yes. And particularly like when we first went in 2018, 2019, we would park at Tower of the Americas and walk.
Yeah.
So when we did that in 2021, assuming those first doors you come across, which is where like badge pickup used to be,
Yeah.
would be open, no, they were locked. So we had to go down towards the Riverwalk, go along there, back up and around in order to actually get into the convention because they didn't have any doors open minus like that the current like lobby area of the
Yeah.
convention center. So that sucked because no one expected that because we were like, oh yeah, the doors will be open. We won't have to be walking outside in Texas in our full costume. We were wrong. We are very wrong.
Oh, you know what? I just realized something because I'm an idiot and I completely forgot about this. I did actually go to 2018. Remember, because we
Ah,
did those photos outside in that one
we
park.
did. We
Yeah,
did. We
I
did.
forgot
Wait,
about
no,
that.
2019.
Was it 2019?
2019. Yeah, because that's when you did the Eternal and Galaxia stuff.
Yeah. I had completely
Yeah.
forgotten about that because
Yeah, I forgot about that too. You were there.
I'm because that's really like the only thing I remember about SJ was just that. Well, then I guess now I think about it, kind of filling in some of the memories about the HPG because they had used more of it, but they were still kind of better about where you had to enter, which was a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let's move on here. So I actually want to talk about the costumes for this year because this was a very big deal for not only you and Lauren, but we're going to talk about some other people here soon.
Ah, yeah.
So, you had actually had Royal Princess Zelda on your list for some time. Literally since Breath of the Wild came out.
Yeah, and I initially like I had like some what kind of satin? It was some kind of satin. It was very lightweight. That I was like, oh, it's the right color. I can make it out of this and do this and this and this. But I never ended up like actually doing more than like drafting out part of the sleeve
Right, yeah,
or something
yeah.
like that. I didn't really do much, and it got shelved for whatever reason. Um, but was it last year? it might have been last year during like the Black Friday sale for Fabric Wholesale Direct. I was just like, screw it. I'm going to go ahead and buy Velvet for Zelda because I think the Velvet would be pretty. That's also when I was buying more Velvet for Edelgard.
Oh, yeah.
Because for some reason, 2023 turned into the Tacocat takes on Velvet year, apparently.
Which is really funny given some of the commentary about Velvet from a few of our friends, so.
Yeah.
But
it's pretty, but it sucks to sew. We'll just put it like that.
But you had actually had this on, kind of on
I've been wanting to make it for a long time.
Yeah.
And like slowly had kind of thought like, oh, I could do this like this and like this and like this. So it's similar to Edelgard, where Edelgard was on the list for a very, very long time since the game dropped. And slowly over time, I developed more of an idea of how I'd want to do it, especially as my skills got a lot better. Because, 2018 me making this stuff, it would not have been nice.
Yeah.
It would not have been as nice. Now, me making it when I know much more about, like, ball gown construction and making formal-looking costumes and all of that, it's definitely helped a lot.
Yeah.
Not to mention, like, the other side things I've learned. I've gotten better at modeling and whatnot, and some tool upgrades. Those also helped. Yeah. Royal Zelda finally happened.
So
it's the second thing off that long list this year of mine alone.
The second thing.
We're actually gonna make it 3. We're gonna make it 3 for me.
On the list that keeps ever growing. Good.
But I'm pulling stuff off slowly. By making them.
Slowly. Anyway. So here was the thing that kind of mildly came out of nowhere, but there's a reason it did, which we'll also get into. Was making Pura for Lauren.
Yes. So, initially, when we were talking, like, back in the day about the original idea for Legend of Zelda, when I first tried to make it, and I didn't really get far, because I squirrel. You guys know that by now. You should not be surprised that I'm like, oh, hey, look, thing I want to make. And then everything goes like that.
Very, yes.
Yeah. Rob plays games with me. It happens then, too, because we're like, where did you go? Oh, I ran off that way.
Follow all the Sealies, find a treasure chest.
And then you find something else you want to do while you're looking for the treasure chest, and then there's this other thing. One thing leads to another. So back then we had talked a little bit about either doing Pura or Riju for Lauren. So then skip forward to 2021, where I was making Hannah Alexander Zelda.
Yeah.
Initially, I wanted to also have Hannah Alexander Mipha for Lauren, and that's partially done, even though I want, like, the bodysuit is mostly done. The sheer skirt is pretty much done. The jacket is kind of close to done, but I'm probably going to remake that to adjust the fits better.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, since, I didn't get to do those two together for 2021, because I didn't get both of them done, maybe if I make Zelda stuff, Mipha can just, kind of poop, and I can, finish something I already have. Now, mind you, none of these were the initial plan for Sand Japan this year. Let me tell you that. It wasn't. The original plan was for me to fix up Aurora right there, because there's a couple of things on that I wanted to change.
About that.
I want to change out the sleeves, and then I want to try like molding the crown and having a resin casted version rather than my resin printed version, because for anyone familiar with resin prints, depending on how you print it, if you don't mix in some of like the flexible resin, those things can get pretty brittle, and if it fell from the top of your head, it would shatter.
Yeah.
Like, there's no question it would shatter, especially if it's on hard floor. So I was like, okay, well, there's these couple of things to do on Aurora, and then Lauren, because I've had the fabric, and she's wanted her own ball gown, and she loves Ariel. I was going to make her Ariel. Like, a nice movie-inspired, but kind of fancy, similar to how Belle is similar to the animated version, but fancier.
Right. Yeah.
Right, because, there's certain little touches that makes it look better in person. So that was going to be the original plan. Well.
Okay, so we'll get into that, but I do actually want to ask one particular question before we move on to why things changed. What was it that drew Lauren to Pura?
Well, initially, like, back in the day when we were talking about it, we both thought Pura was cute. Now, that's where she just had her Breath of the Wild design. And then for Tears of the Kingdom, when stuff kind of shifted gears and we decided that, it was like, well, who would you want to do? And she's like, I'll do Pura. Because she had already kind of accepted, like, she'd liked the idea of doing Purah, but it was going to be the Breath of the Wild Purah. So this one, instead of being more childlike, it was more of an adult Purah. So
Right.
it kind of made sense. And hi, Merkitty, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, there's an Alphonse Media here too. Hi, Isaiah.
All right. So let us move on to why plans changed midstream. And I'm going to mention the title of apparently which was a Discord chat. And there are so many questions about how the hell this whole thing even happened. The name of the Discord chat was Team Crackhead Energy.
Well, it's not Team Crackhead Energy. It's just Crackhead Energy.
Okay, fair. But, I mean, we do need to put team into it because our friends Al...
morphed.
Yeah, I was going to say our friends Alan Coffee and Savage were part of it.
I need to turn you up. Apparently, you're a bit quieter than I am.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, how is it now, Merkitty?
Yeah, hopefully it's a lot better.
Yeah, we checked it earlier,
but it's always kind of weird. Yeah. So
especially if like the mic gets moved.
Yeah. So anyway, a question.
So Crackhead Energy.
Okay, so how the hell did this even be a thing? Period.
So after ACON, which after the crazy Saturday, we got dinner, and I think stuff might have been tossed. Like, oh yeah, well, we might want to make some Zelda stuff, because at that point, Zach, aka Zavage, you crank the volume, but okay, well, either way, now it's better. So Zavage Cosplay, he had made Suga for Comic Palooza, because he was a judge there and he wanted a new costume, and so that's what he made. So he made the bodysuit, and he bought and altered some swords for it. He 3D printed the mask, and it was all good. So then on that like Saturday night, Sunday of ACON, he and our other friend, Owl and Coffee, aka Carol, I'm saying like names in case I swap which way I'm talking about people so that no one is confused. They were talking about doing stuff, and they kind of settled on, what if we did like Suka and Sheikah Link? And I was like, what did I say? I said something about, well, I'm easily convinced into things, and I already have all the fabric for Royal Zelda. And somehow, within the period of us still at ACON, it turned into like, okay, well, if Lauren did Purah, because we were talking about how Mifa wouldn't quite fit in since that was a redesign.
Yeah.
So she did Purah, and then somehow it became Zach being like, well, what if I make my swords out of wood? Wait, what if we make the chopsticks ourselves? What if we make her flute? And it just went...
And it's really funny since you mentioned making things out of wood, because I saw Zach actually post a reel.
Yes, he's been posting reels about it.
About the flute recorder.
Yes. So he did 2 about the sword, and then the flute/recorder, which a recorder is a type of flute, so it's fair to call it a flute.
Yeah. Yeah, so much making. That's definitely true. Well, and so that was like a couple things I wanted to bring up was, especially for Suga, because for him, basically, aside from making the swords, wasn't it just like a little bit of upgrades in some various ways, but not really...
Yeah, for him, it was a few things. Like, he went ahead, and sorry, I'm opening fruit snacks. I decided I wanted them. He decided he wanted to make swords from wood. As like the entire thing, he also made the sheaths that they went in, and then he used some leather in order to make his harnesses and whatnot to hold the swords up. There's a little bit of 3D printing involved to get the swords right, because the hilt is 3D printed. Or well, I guess the guard, technically just the guard section is 3D printed. And then there's some little like Sheikah logo things that they part of them are 3D printed, and they put them on there after curving them, because fun fact, if you have a 3D print like this, you can warm it up and bend it.
Yep.
So you can save time printing it flat and then curve it afterwards. You can do it to larger things. It's a little bit more iffy because your infill might get weird, but so they went ahead and took advantage of that to add some of the details to like the sheets and whatnot. I don't think, other than that, he really had much work to do to his. But so Zach's outfit was mostly taken care of with a couple of upgrades, even though, again, the woodwork and stuff was all new to him, so it did take a lot of time to do.
Yeah.
And then you had 3 of us that had piles of fabric. and maybe like a wig in a bag. And that was it.
Uh,
So we had from the beginning of June to the beginning of September for 3 costumes to be made.
mhm.
Now for Carol, that was 1 costume, plus a little bit of vectoring help for Zach and I that she gave us.
Right.
I had 2 to make, and Lauren did help some, but as you guys know, she works a lot.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of the making because she works a lot, especially if you hung around in June, you know that Loki had a major health issue coming up, and she charged up quite the bill, so Lauren had to work on paying off that bill.
Yep.
So, so yeah, he had that amount of time to make 2 costumes, plus a little bit of help from Lauren.
Okay. So, and accidental. Speaking of that, there was actually some work that needed to be done at the hotel. I say mostly just some finish up stuff, but there was one funny bit I wanted to bring up. Was around Pura's glasses, because
Yes.
apparently something
Wait.
got forgot.
Oh, I don't have her glasses in here. I was gonna grab them. They're in the other room, but I'd have to leave to grab them, so I'm not gonna go do that.
Okay, but something was
Wait, I think there's a
forgotten
picture
at
of them.
home, which was hinges for the earpieces.
The
Yeah.
glasses.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted them to fold like actual glasses instead of being like stuck open the entire time. To which we bought replacement eyeglasses hinges off Amazon. We got like 10 sets or something like that.
Okay.
Because you know the deal. If you want something small, you can only buy it in bulk.
Of course.
Now, it wasn't expensive. It was less than $10 for them. And, sorry, there's a gnat in here that keeps, like, harassing me. Rob's been hearing about this gnat for days now.
Yes, I have.
But, so, the hinges got left at home, and Lauren was like, oh god, I can't order anymore on Amazon that will be here in time to a locker. So then she was like, hey, Rob, can you do me a favor? I need you to go to, like, CVS or whatever and buy some sunglasses that I can rip the hinges off of.
Well, so that was the one bit I wanted to talk about, because Isaiah and I both went just to go see if we can hunt down something. And at first, we didn't even know there was actually a CVS nearby, because that's like kind of not a thing we've had to go look for. And where we kind of got to think, it's like, man, if there's not a CVS, where else could we go? You know, just in case, like, if they were not open or something like that. Thankfully, that one's open 24 hours on the Riverwalk. But what was funny was, on the way there, Isaiah and I looked at each other, like, and he goes like, hey, Rob, if we don't find anything, you know what we need to do? And I literally looked at him and said, hit up Dave & Buster's? And he said, yes. Because there's always cheap sunglasses in the redemption prizes. And I have skee-ball skills, okay?
Okay, fair. I had no idea this happened because, so for context, at this time, I was hand sewing stuff in our hotel room. Lots of hand sewing and some gluing and like finishing Lauren's like Pura buns. Those buns were evil, by the way.
Yes, they were.
Wrapping hair around circular things that are like 2 of them. Don't do it. It's annoying. But yeah, this is my first time hearing about this because I was hand sew.
Yeah, I was just glad that the CVS was there and was open. We was able to grab a couple pairs because Isaiah and I were talking about, it's like, oh man, like what kind of hinge style is probably going to work, because what Pura's glasses style are doesn't quite match what we were finding. Can we get close enough to get something workable? And thankfully, we were able to find something. So I'm glad for that. Thank you. I just saw that.
Thank you, Mary Kitty.
Banhammer.
Yeah.
So, but thankfully, everything got done, and you were able to, go into prejudging and stuff like that. And that's and kind of going back to, you typically competing solo or duo with Lauren.
Which actually, backtrack before we get to that.
Okay,
I need to talk about the journey to get this.
Yes. Go ahead and talk about that.
So, our build book, because these are 4 costumes, we have roughly 10 pages per costume. There's like the beginning page and then the end page, because the Legends of Zelda, they end things with the end. It's not numbered, so I can't give you the exact number. It's like 43 or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
which for 4 costumes isn't that bad. We
Yeah.
could have cut it down more, but
Well, a lot
we
of it,
decided we wanted really big images
yeah, a lot of it
per
was
page.
photos. A lot of it was photos from when I flipped
Yes,
through it. Yeah.
there's not more than like a few sentences per page. Like this one doesn't have any because all the text is there. So it's a lot of photos. So again, it ended up being 40 something pages. And initially we were like, oh yeah, well, you know, there's the FedEx Business Center in the convention center. We can just get it printed there. Well, they have the convention rates. They wanted 90 something dollars to have this printed.
I'm not surprised.
So instead, because Zach called me and he was like, oh my God, do we just like eat the cost? And I was like, I'm not paying $90 for a build book. Sorry. So instead, I was like, wait a second, maybe I can ask Allie. So Allie, one of our friends, which for those of you that know, make them awesome, you know Allie and the wonderfulness, even though she's been quite busy lately with her daughter, this little Hannah, which I finally got to meet Hannah, so yay.
Yep, same here.
They were a Koroks family, and it was so cute. If you look at my Discord server, and I think just a cosplay general is where I posted photos, or maybe it was just a general chat.
One of the two. Go.
I think it might be general, but anyway, there's a photo of their little Koroks family with me, and you can see them, and they're adorable. But so they were able to go ahead and swing by a FedEx on their way to San Japan on Saturday and pick this one up, which only cost $30, which was a lot better than $90 for our 40-something page book. Because 30-something, we're like, okay, I mean that's less than $1 per page, and it's like nice and it's bound,
I was gonna say
we thought that was reasonable.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say because I believe in the past you usually would just do binders.
Yes, I do have some presentation binders, and that's typically what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
But Zach, because he also went ahead and got our build book printed, which I think it's up there, which is why I'm looking awkwardly this way, is I think it's over there, for Edelgard and Saros. Because initially I was like, hey, do you guys have a printer? He's like, no, I don't have a printer. I was like, oh. So he went somewhere and had it printed at, well, I'm assuming he went to just a FedEx. Why did this come undone partially? But it's a really nice way to do the build books, in my opinion. And I think in the future, as long as like there's no major issues with us getting it printed at FedEx, we're probably going to get them done this way, because there's no fiddling, even though I'm fiddling with it right now, there's no fiddling with having a binder or like clear pages or anything like that. It is all self-contained, and you just pick it up and there you go.
Yeah. I was going to say, and I think that's a good move to use in the future, honestly.
Especially if it's just Lauren and I, our build books tend to be, it's typically our rule of thumb is no more than 10 pages per costume. So 20 pages is typically the max. It might occasionally be like 22 if I decide, well, we have a cover page. Yeah. And then there's a page full of references for Lauren, and then a page of references for me, and then we actually get into the counting part. But again, even though it is 10 pages, most of it is going to just be images with a sentence or two per page, just to provide a little bit of context.
Right.
So I have been converted, I think, to doing this, because it's very nice.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and I think there's something about it with just, instead of being just like your typical 1-inch binder, because it's so hard to find thinner ones anyway, just something.
Yeah, well, I actually have some like little thin presentation things, so it's not a binder. It's like the presentation portfolio type thing. Okay. So it's like the floppy thing. Yeah, not a normal binder.
Okay, but I still think that's
my
a good
chair's sake.
Again,
to up that again.
Yeah. But I think that's a good direction to go with getting something professionally printed and bound.
Yes.
And going that route.
And I mean, if 40-something pages is $30, a 20-something page book is gonna be less than $20.
Yeah.
So
probably
it's worth it.
So let's actually move on to the contest itself. Okay. And going back to, you typically just competing with Lauren, or you're doing solo. How was pre-judging with all 4 of you at the same time?
So we went in there, I handed them the build book, and they're like, okay, do you want to start? And all the 4 of us just kind of looked at each other like, dear God, where do we start? We didn't talk about how we wanted to, like, break this down beforehand, which would have been smart. Oopsies. So then Carol was like, well, I guess I will go ahead and start. So she started. We talked through her stuff. Then we talked through Pura. Zach was having a good time with Rage Gear, talking all about their stuff. So they were kind of like off in their corner. The other three of us were talking to Afro Queen and AK Wiru. And then, like, we were running out of time. They're like, okay, that's enough on that. We need to hear about you, referring to me, or we're not going to have time to hear about this.
Okay.
So, judging 4 master level costumes in 5 minutes is a lot.
Yeah. I mean...
Yeah, I've had it where, for Lauren and I, 2 people in 5 minutes, and the judges have felt they wanted more time. So double that to 4 people. So it was a bit chaotic trying to get everything across, but we did have most of everything documented in here. There are some things that maybe didn't get photos, like Lauren's wig stuff.
Right.
That wasn't photoed in there. And just a couple of things like that we made sure to mention in person. So hopefully they did enjoy the build book and actually like flipped through it because of how much time they had overall to hear about everything.
Yeah. I was just saying, Mercury said that's why A-Fest had the 5-minute base plus extra time per extra person.
Yeah, the problem with that is when you have contests that have a lot more entries than A-Fest does. And when... Yeah, it's... Well, because that one also, there was the scaling factor based upon the class that you were in. So, it's just a little bit difficult in terms of how much time you're going to book of the judges. And all of that, because, I mean, telling someone, be in this room for 8 hours to judge, then I need you to get in your costume for the contest, and watch the 2-hour show, and then you can be free. That's a lot. So, and, like, they do have judging Friday, Saturday at San Japan. At A-Fest, since their costume contest is on Sunday, they also have judging on Sunday. I said, because I don't like having it on Sunday night.
Yeah, that's a little...
I really don't. I'd prefer for it to be on Saturday, but it's some main events issue at A-Fest.
Yeah,
like,
which I've heard,
for how they're prioritizing things, which it is what it is. But I personally don't like having the contest on Sunday night, because it just makes it more stressful. And then for those people that then have to leave early Monday in order to go to work, or a lot of people, if the contest is not on Sunday, they leave on Sunday because they have work on Monday.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's a side tangent.
Which actually, interesting question about CGF going to 3 days next year. But anyway.
Yeah.
So, I was going to say, one thing that was interesting for me was playing as handler. Primarily for Isaiah. Because, he was there as a Hytham. So, I was there to help him out. And then... the 4 of you had Sydney and Kat, and I was helping out too.
Yes. Rob kind of jumped between the 2 of us, but like Isaiah didn't have anything else, so for the most part, Rob was handler for Isaiah, and then if we like really needed to bug Rob for something, he would help us too.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you were able to help Isaiah because that worked well. Oh, and he said you were a very good handler, so yay!
Oh, thank you.
Rob.
But it was very interesting to see that particular perspective. Without having to think, because typically when I'm hanging out with you guys, even at a con, usually there's some aspect of I'm probably going to take photos. Where that wasn't present at all this year, even though I brought my camera gear, it didn't even come out of the bag. At all. So it's pretty much like that all stayed in the room.
But you were busy. You were doing stuff.
Yeah, yes I was.
You also got to play photography assistant this year.
Which I will actually talk about that.
But that's skipping ahead a little bit.
Yeah. So... But yeah, it was, like I said, there was actually a good perspective to actually see the backstage piece of a contest. Because I had literally never had that before this year.
Yeah, which I find weird. And again, like, we usually rope other people into handling for us, so...
So, and like all the, some of the stuff you had mentioned, very specifically, like talking with the other contestants and discussing the details of their costumes.
Which, now I need to mention this. So, when we were headed up to like where the contest was going to be a bit early, mostly just because, so with Zach's mask, he has like a little window here where he can see. So he has like a field of view that goes like this, so he can't see all the way around him. For people to hear him, he basically had to like yell, especially loud in the artist alley. And people were kind of rude and not like paying attention to where they were walking, and they kept smacking into his swords. So he was like, I'm not really having much fun in here because, I'm just worried something is going to get broken. And I keep having to yell for anyone to hear me. So I was like, okay, well, do you just want to head over to the ballroom area early and we can just like chill there for, but at that time it was a little over an hour at that time. We didn't end up waiting a full hour
Yeah.
because we got distracted on the way, which we'll get into that. So we were like, okay, yeah, we'll just go ahead and cut through the convention center and go through the doors into the hotel to try to minimize the outside time as much as possible. And also to like avoid those crosswalks that if you're going from the lobby of the convention center you had to walk across.
Yeah.
Because again, we didn't want anything to happen to our costumes. So as we were going down that hallway, we acquired a Robin and Isaiah. We also, there was someone dressed as Raru, maybe? It's the wall of hair character from Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's something like that. Again, this is where, again, I fully admit, I don't have time to play the games if I'm making these costumes from them, so I typically don't play them. Yes, Raru. Okay, so I was right. I was fairly certain that was the character's name. But yeah, so we went ahead and we saw that. Oh, it was you. Hello.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if that was
so
a tall girl.
Carol was like, "We need a photo with them," and so we stopped, got photos, and then a whole bunch of other people kept coming by wanting photos of our lovely Legend of Zelda group.
Okay.
And then Allie and Ryan appeared as their little Koroks family, so they hopped in the photos. And eventually after all of that, we were like, okay, we need to head to the contest, which our lovely friend here, Tall Girl Cosplay, which you're going to be in some of the photos later, so you're going to get mentioned. Because, yes, we have photos. Was like, oh, you guys are going there? I don't know where I'm going. And we're like, follow us. So we just kind of, like, acquired a train that just went from Lauren, Carol, Zach. Oh, sorry, no, Lauren was not with us. So it was Zach, Carol, Sydney, and I. So 4 of us. So then Rob got added. Then a Tall Girl Cosplay and their handler got added. And we're just like moving as some giant unit up to the ballroom.
Yes.
Which we had to wait, and we found some chairs and stuff to chill at before they would let us in the ballroom.
Yeah.
But that was fun. Okay, now we can go back to what you were going to say now that I've side tangented a lot.
Well, actually, I mean, it was like
oh,
I said.
Focus, what are you doing?
Yeah, wow, how did your camera do? Yes, we need to get you.
It's better now. We're just going.
We're
forward.
just going to go with it anyway. But like I said, it was very interesting to actually now have that backstage perspective about how everybody was prior to the contest.
Snack
going
time.
On. Yeah.
For context, I was there. Well, no, this was actually during the contest. I was there with pretzels, and I was like, "You want some pretzels? You want some pretzels?"
Oh hell! Like I actually emptied my camera bag to bring water and snacks in case
which was a good call.
Yeah. Well, that's actually something I want to do when you asked about plane handler. Like, I was actually wanting to get a bigger cooler to bring with me, which I wasn't able to, unfortunately. Just like for stuff like that, you know, future enhancements. Let's put it that way. So, now I'm going to continue on the subject of competing as a group of 4.
Dang it! I still didn't get the nap. I almost had it. Sorry.
Almost had.
I almost had it.
So, competing as a group of 4. The walk-on idea.
Well, actually, pause. When we went in the ballroom, and we were like, okay, we need to find our seats.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, we're M12, M11, M13. 12 is between 11 and 13. And we were really confused. So then I was like, hey, there's no seats for M12? And they're like, yeah, there's too many of you. You're going to sit with the bulkies. Because there was 4 of us plus 2 handlers, so 6. We would have taken more than one row that they had marked out, like, for the contestants to sit in. So we ended up over there, which is where we talked more to our lovely friend, aka the Wall of Hair. Or the hair wearing a cosplayer. I think that's one of the other names the judges had for it.
Yeah, something like that anyway.
So while we were sitting over there, because we had a few ideas beforehand about the walk-on, which... pretty much the only idea I had was like, what if we like take a selfie with the Sheikah slate? And that's like all we had. So we came up with a bit more of a plan when we were like waiting for the contest to start, which as you guys know, you usually show up like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours early prior to the contest so they can check everyone in, get them all in order. do some audio checks. If there's time, skits will probably get a chance to practice. That doesn't always happen. It depends on the contest if the skits get a chance or not. Some contests, contestants will also be able to walk across the stage if you wanted practice time.
Yeah.
But again, it varies on contest and the time they're operating with, whether or not you are allowed to have that on stage time. But so anyway, so we were all just chilling there off to the side since we were with the bulkies.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, so what exactly do we want to do? And so we ended up deciding, okay, well, what if like Carol, who was our little Link, like gathered all of us for a selfie, and then that's when Zach comes on and was like, oh no, you guys go, I got this. And Lauren was like, we need bananas, because my sister has been playing through the game, and whatever she's doing involves Diiga and bananas.
Okay, I was one. So it was really funny. So like talk
It's
about
apparently a thing. I don't know.
So to talk about my part in that, because I heard them talking through the concept, but I wasn't able to hear like all the conversation, so I kind of didn't really have a good idea of what they were, piecing together. And then all of a sudden, I hear Lauren go, Rob, come here. I'm like, what? Can you go find us some bananas? And I'm like, yeah. Well, and so here, and I was like, okay, I know where to get some. The coffee shop on the ground floor of the Grand Hyatt, because I actually would go there all the time because all y'all know I drink a lot of coffee.
You do.
So I was like, so it was a pretty common stop for me. But I remembered they would always have bananas, especially in the morning.
Bananas.
So that was like literally like the first stop popped in my head. It's like, I'm going to go down there and see if they have any. And thankfully they still had them out, even though it was like, 6 o'clock in the evening or whatever. And so I grabbed 3 of them, and I was telling the guy at the register that, yeah, I just need these for for our cosplay competitors in the contest. And he literally just said, go ahead and take them. He didn't charge me for them.
So the initial plan that Lauren came up with, she was like, wait, because I've been shoving stuff in my sleeve pockets all day. So for those of you who don't know, Zelda has like these really stupid things. So like it splits here and it goes down like this, and then there's just a big pocket area. So I've been shoving my phone in there, the wallet in there. So they're glorified pockets. I had actual pockets in the skirt, but the sleeve pockets are more convenient.
Yes.
And Lauren was like, would you be able to like bananas one out of each sleeve? And I was like, well, because of how long they are compared to my arms, I could only pull one out and just be like a banana. So we were like, okay, what we're gonna do after the selfie, after Zach is on stage, Link is there like, and I'm like, no, here, give me the Sheikah Slate. You take the banana that came out of my sleeve. But wait, there was another banana involved in our walk-on. Lauren had a banana up her sleeve that she started eating on stage. Which, is this where we show stage photos?
Not yet. We'll get into that
Not yet?
in a bit.
Okay.
But I think, didn't Orion say something that was the first time they had ever seen anybody eat a banana during a skit at a cosplay contest?
So, because I asked them backstage, because, okay, the rule of thumb with contests is staff shouldn't be surprised with what you do on stage. You want the judges to be surprised. You want the audience surprised, but not staff. So right, I was like, Orion, hey, if it's okay if she eats a banana on stage as long as she doesn't like drop a banana peel or anything, right? And they were like, yes. And I was like, cool. And so after our walk-on, there was a comment about that was the first time someone asked if it was okay to have a banana on stage to eat. But yeah, you always want to like just make sure you don't want to surprise staff.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to surprise everyone else.
Very true.
So rule of thumb: if you're gonna do something dumb, ask.
Yeah, I was gonna say make sure your staff are well aware and happy. True for
which means no throwing glitter everywhere.
Well, yeah,
or involving the poor MC in your walk-on. Referring to Say in Japan another year where someone, what were they, like Snake or something? They went up behind Orion and had a fake knife and held it to Orion's throat and didn't tell Orion they were going to do that beforehand.
Oh, no.
There's a reason why there's a rule about like no interacting with the MC unless like you
very specifically plan it. Yeah.
Yeah. Get behind the bananas, which we'll have photos of the bananas soon.
Yes. And so one thing I very very specifically wanted to say, especially because one of the competitors, Isaiah's in here, Tall Girl's in here, was there was like a lot of really good costumes this
Oh my
year.
freaking god! Everyone in that contest looked so good.
Right?
Like if we saw some of the novices, and we're just like, "That's a novice." You see some of the journeymen, and you're just like, "That's a journeyman."
Mm-hmm.
What the heck? But yeah, everybody looked freaking fantastic, and honestly, like I'm sure okay, for those of you who are not at San Japan, Orion had to do what 10-15 minutes of filler
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
to buy extra time for them because the halftime show didn't have enough time built into it for
Yeah,
the judges to
they only had like a
deliberate.
30-minute set from what I remember.
I don't
So
even think it was full 30 minutes. Maybe it was a little
yeah,
less.
yeah, just a little bit less maybe. So
Oh yeah, yeah, and like Isaiah saying, like there were even like small to big cosplays, there was a wide range, and of those,
mm-hmm.
like there was some impeccable work. So good.
Oh yeah, I mean, the Elden Ring group, like seeing some of that stuff up close
Mhm.
is like, ooh,
I know.
ooh,
Like as we saw
ooh.
people like walking by to go line up, because so we were kind of lazy, and they were like, "Oh yeah, line up over there near the door," and we're like, "But there's chairs over here, so we're gonna stay here until we have to be over there."
Yeah, right.
So we were just like sitting there along the wall watching people go in, and we're just kind of like, it was pretty good.
Like I said, that whole stuff of being quote unquote backstage and what you get to see.
Just the oohs and the ahs as people were walking by,
Hmm.
especially sparkly things. You guys should not be surprised. I like sparkly things.
You don't
I also
say.
like my grungy armor. I can appreciate that. But ooh, sparkly things.
Yep. And actually, one of my favorite ones, just because it was when I first saw it, it was like so ridiculous, and I was like, but it made sense once we saw it. And I wish I could remember this cosplayer's name. Hopefully, somebody in the chat
What was it?
remembers. The Rin cosplayer who brought in the kitchen cabinet.
Oh, that's Alley Cat cosplay.
Oh, is that okay?
Yes,
Because when
yes,
I when
yes.
I saw that thing, I'm like, things are fucking serious when you bring in the kitchen to the contest.
That skit was adorable too.
Oh God, yeah, it
But
really
yeah,
was.
it's ALIE cat cosplay.
Okay,
So not
cool.
ALY like our alley.
Yeah,
But yes, that was freaking adorable.
yes, it
And then like
was.
the cake.
That was really
Um, what
really well
else?
planned out.
Whenever the video is published of the contest, I will link it in my Discord.
Yes,
That way,
yes.
for people like Shar, who were not at San Japan, sorry, my dude, you're not in Texas. You didn't have that day off, I think. But there is a video of it that like I said, when it's posted, I will share that video
Mm-hmm.
because there will be a high quality video to come soon.
Yes. And actually, before we actually show some of the photos, let's talk about some of the other people. Phony Personi.
She is so sweet.
Yeah.
And
And
she's been working so hard on that Zelda
mm-hmm.
since Acon. And
Yeah.
for those of you not in the what is it, like the Greater Texas Competitors Guild or something like that is the
Yeah.
name. It's the Texas contest server.
Yeah.
That for those of us that compete or those that just kind of want to lurk and learn, you can post in there. So she has constantly been posting updates in there, asking for feedback and like, oh no,
Mm-hmm.
is this good enough? Is this good? What else could I try? This happened. So she was getting so much feedback and doing an amazing job implementing that. Like, if I didn't know that was like her first contest, I would have been like, yeah, she's got to be at least journeyman.
Nope.
Maybe close to getting a master's.
Nope.
Maybe.
First
Nope.
cosplay.
Nope. First costume she made. First contest she ever did.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was freaking amazing.
Yep. And then
Yes, and Isaiah shot photos with her, so he
okay,
will have
good.
good photos
Yes.
shared
Oh yeah.
soon.
And then Saru cosplay with her kind of Sakura mashup of Sakura Wars and
I
Card
love
Captor
that.
Sakura. And like we like
'Cause-
that kind of dumb around here.
Yeah,
As a
because it was
community.
like, no, this is the wrong Sakura music. No, that's still not the right Sakura music. Because you know how many freaking Sakuras there are in anime?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. And then Rumple with her.
Save the Koroks. Wait, do you have the link to the website?
Hopefully I don't have
Like
it.
the
Hopefully somebody does.
SPCK helpline, something like that?
Yeah.
If someone in chat can find the link and share it. Even though I don't know if I have links turned off in chat.
Actually, I think you do. I think it's only. I
If
think it's.
Isaiah finds it, he's a mod. He should be able to share it.
Yeah, but
So Isaiah, if you could please find that link. If not, I will find it later.
Well, and what was funny was because Rumple had actually posted some some work in progress stuff in the server, but you had actually very specifically avoided it because you wanted to actually see it.
Yeah, there was
see it in
the
its completed
audio
form.
beforehand that Rumple shared, and I was like, well, I'm really curious because of like the photos and stuff that's been shared of like the artwork and like making Strungles, her little Koroks. I was like, I could listen to the audio or I could not. And then during the skit, I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah. So I decided not to listen to the audio until I actually saw the skit. Like I knew what it was about and the play that it was on, but I hadn't actually heard the audio portion of it. And it was golden.
Oh God! Well, I had actually heard
so good.
I had actually heard the audio. I mean, not in the best quality because she just like recorded it off her laptop. But when I heard it, I was like, "This is the best kind of cursed," and I'm here for it.
It's the ASPCA, right?
Yeah, it was him because it was like for like years Sarah McLachlan.
It's the Sarah McLachlan sad animal.
Yeah.
Only you can help poor Fluffy now if you donate only so many dollars a month. It was great. And also the actual like donate links on the website do go to actual animal shelters and
San Antonio
organizations.
San Antonio Pets Alive I know was one of them. So, which I thought was like a really good use to help sell the bit. Like, okay, hey, it's funny, but we're going to try to do something. If we
There's also a phone number, and if you call that, there is the voicemail on it that's like the same. It's perfect. The website, the phone number.
That was commitment to the bit.
It was perfect.
Actually, I think I loved Orion's comment after that was done. Now, that was a skit.
That was a very good skit.
Oh.
What is next on the docket? Because I don't have the list up, because I have us here, and it's Discord and OBS.
Well, thankfully, tablet.
Yeah, I was going to have my phone, but I don't want to be like looking down at my phone the entire time.
So
I try to be good.
Oh, shit. I didn't want to type right now. Go away. Go away. Nah, whatever. Anyway, so before we get into photos, you got
syncing again.
Yeah. How? You just readjusted that a few minutes ago. What the hell?
No, it's getting faster with the syncing, and it just kind of goes doot, 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 doot.
Okay.
Well, it's just an office chair from Walmart. And
yes, I know.
It's not doing so hot.
I know. You need to get a replacement. We've been telling you that for a while. Oh, how can I put this? Winter Circle was damn near Zelda, all the way Zelda Fest.
Zelda Fest, thus my title of my stream, San Japan, aka Zelda Fest recap.
Yeah, and actually at this point we might as well go ahead and show photos.
And I'm opening more fruit snacks.
And I will say this is going to be mildly janky because it's just easier for me. So for anybody who hadn't actually seen,
are you showing the photos now?
I'm showing.
Cool. So I'm starting with one. I'm assuming you're on one. You labeled these.
Yeah. So this is all four of them: Carol, Kirsten, Lauren, and Zach.
Yes. So Carol, aka Owl and Coffee, as Chica Link, and then me as Zelda, Lauren as Pura, and then Zavage Cosplay, aka Zach, as Suga. He's very tall compared to the rest of us, and also Lauren was wearing heels, so she was taller than I was, and it was off-putting because I chose to wear flat.
And actually, one thing I want to mention about Zach very specifically, because we're also all members of a free company called Quay, which for Final Fantasy 14. And one of the members saw Zach's photo and was like, "Is that a hilichurly?"
And then they called him a hot dog. Oh, actually, wait. Okay, well, you need to see it like without the mask on, and that's why you'll see the hot dog comment.
Yeah, which we'll get to here in a bit. But this is all four of them.
Or a Teletubby is what he called himself. Oh, there's the helpline. Go click that website.
Yes.
It's perfect.
That it is.
Okay. Are we changing photos now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to... This was actually on stage.
Yeah, so this is our selfie with the Sheikah Slate, which the crowd kind of really liked their stupid idea. Because everyone knows it's a thing in the game to take pictures of stuff with the Sheikah Slate. Even I know that, even though I haven't played the game.
At some point, you'll actually play a Zelda game. Whatever Zelda game that is, who knows?
Hey, I've played some of Twilight Princess.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's the one I played a little bit of. So the three of us went on first, did our selfie, and then Zach came on, which it's funny because Weeru in his Discord server, because he knew that we were in there after the fact, was like, oh, here's some video of your walk on. And you can hear Afro Queen, wait, where's the fourth one? We're missing one.
Yep.
It was great because that came on just after we did our selfie.
And so let's let's move on to image 3.
Great. So this is after selfie is done. I've taken the Sheikah slate, pulled the banana from my sleeve, given it to Link, and Link is just there, banana gun. And Zach was like waddling with his swords.
Yes. So. All right. So let's actually talk about some of the other people who. Yeah. Let's go on to 4. So. So it's going to be, Carol,
some of our friends,
Phony Personi, Tall Girl Cosplay, and Zach. And this was the one where somebody said, like, Zach the Hilichurly.
Yeah, which actually, wait, let me make this a little bit bigger. Zach's going to kill me for making this bigger, but... oh, well. There you go. So yeah, obviously you recognize the 4 of us. The lovely Zelda in the middle is Phony, and then Tall Girl Cosplay, aka the wig wearing the cosplayer, or the wall of hair.
The wall of hair, yes.
And yes, Zach said he thought he looked like a Teletubby.
Yep. So actually, let's go ahead and move on to the last image, because this also has Rumple in it.
I'm also gonna make this one a little bit bigger.
Who did get?
Which wait, we didn't say who got what award, so we'll have to say.
Well, yeah. I was gonna say actually, let's go back to image 4 because you guys got Best in Show.
Yes, we won Best in Show. Phony got Best Novice. Tall Girl Cosplay got Best Journeyman, and then in the image I'm on, so I'm on 5. Robin's on 4.
Yeah, I moved over to 5.
Rumple got Best Overall Skit, or is it Best Performance overall?
Best Master Skit.
Oh, okay. Best Master Skit?
Yeah.
Okay. Which that skit was amazing.
Yeah. Like we said, Zelda Fest. So
so there's us with 2 of the judges. The other judge ran away too fast.
Yes. Yes, he did. Even though I talked to him for a couple minutes after.
I didn't even know you talked to him. Also, I'm going to hide the image so you can see us again.
Yeah, well, yeah, I just did the same here. Yeah. So I was just like, I have no idea where the fuck Where went to. So
yeah, because we had asked the others, and Rob was like, "Okay, I'm going to go see if I can find him," and then everyone was like, "Who knows where he went?"
Yep.
But it was a really fun weekend. It was chaotic.
Well, and actually at that point, since we're now past the contest and everything, did you have any other thoughts about San Japan this year in general? Like I said, especially after coming back as an attendee after guesting last year.
So the setup this year was weird compared to last year, but I did like it, minus one fact, but we'll get to that fact in a minute. So I liked how the artist alley was set up. It was very spaced out. There was a lot of vendors. The dealer's room, it was very spaced out, and I'm just like, I wonder how many dealers compared to normal they had, because what Ryan said is they had a large area, a large aisleway, so I don't actually know if there were more or fewer vendors compared to pre-pandemic in the dealer's room.
Yeah, that's a good question, because I noticed it too. Because they actually had a very big space for the Atashas this year. It was
But there was also a very large space for all the vendors, and then the guests had a large area. And it's are they just using more space wisely or what? But Artist Alley was amazing. As always, spent too much money there.
Actually, sadly, I didn't really get a chance to spend much time in Artist Alley, but there's reasons why. So,
now the one thing I did not like in the Artist Alley room was the boxing ring.
Oh, the wrestling ring.
Yeah, the wrestling. Sorry, whatever. The ring thing. We're walking around, we're shopping, we hear someone announcing something, we're like, what the heck's going on? We hear cheering, and then we hear the ding, 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 and we're like, what is going on? And, they had wrestling going on in the Artist Alley, which, there's no problem having wrestling at a convention. I just think it was not a good idea to have it in Artist Alley, because when that was going on, it was so difficult to talk to the vendors in there if you were wanting to buy something. Just because of how it was echoing through there and all of the cheering and the yelling that happened related to that. And then on Sunday, it was changed to sumo wrestling. I think. I don't know. Some people
Okay,
walking around with like the little like the diapery looking things over their clothes over there. So I can only assume. I didn't see it happen because the thing was gone and it was like a mat with a circle on the floor, which
Oh,
I
okay.
think is how they do it for
It's
sumo
sumo.
wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was not as loud, but when they had the giant thing up there, I was just like, I can't hear. This isn't cool. Yeah, like if they had just like moved it elsewhere where you were not trying to shop over the sound of that, that would have been fine.
Yeah. Probably not the
Um,
best use of space for that idea,
but it was
I
the first
guess.
year they had it, so they were learning.
Okay. Yeah, I
Uh,
still wasn't quite sure. Like, I was like, wrestling and anime con. I'm kind of, I like overall, I like wrestling. Don't get me wrong, but I was kind of like, I didn't know if it fit the SJ vibe. I guess.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, when you look at like some of the other stuff, like they had some of the members of V Shoujo, as guests that year. That made sense
Mhm.
because VTubing's
Mhm.
huge.
Mhm.
Um, even like
That
some
it.
of the stuff they added this year, like the laser tag and a VR zone, that makes sense because you're
I didn't even
giving.
go by the VR zone.
They were actually where Rockman had and Joey had the jam space. They were. It was
Okay,
like, oh,
okay.
it was up there. Is where they were.
Okay, cool, cool.
But that gives people stuff to do, especially because the
It
arcade,
gives them
like,
plenty of options for
mhm.
entertainment,
Yeah, especially
which is
because
why,
the
like,
arcade was like mostly Japanese rhythm
hmm
games and racing games, so and fighters.
hmm
Um, but anyway, I didn't know if you had anything else that you wanted to bring up
yeah, yeah.
specifically.
To your point of like, does the wrestling fit in? But I mean, yeah. I just hopefully next year it's not with Artist Alley.
Yeah.
Like, even if they put it more towards like, okay, so the way it was divided, you went in, you had Artist Alley, a little food thing, the wrestling stuff. Then you had the Atasha cars, you had the dealer's room, you had guests. So there was like a little divider between dealer's room and Artist Alley, and then there was another divider on this side. So we're now making like an L shape that went into like the D&D and the game stuff, as
Yeah.
well as like the LARP sword fighting and whatnot. They
Oh
have a
yeah.
whole ring for that. Then there was another divider, and they had like the arcade.
hmm
Personally, I think had they like put it like in the arcade or something area
It might have
where
been
you're
better.
not trying to buy something, you're just
Yeah.
playing your game and vibing, I think that would have been better.
Yeah, possibly. I was gonna say,
Because you wouldn't want it where they were doing the tabletop gaming, because they need to be able to hear what they're doing.
yeah.
In the areas where you shop, people need to hear what you're doing, because it's hard to say, "Hey, I want this thing here," if they can't hear you say that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and actually, going back to the guest area, I thought that was interesting. Like literally, like how much space they gave for literally everybody.
hmm
Because I don't know if it was ever full or anywhere near it.
yeah, and it's also interesting how they had like rows for the guests to be in, and they had a whole bunch of line area, and they just basically, like, some VAs are going to get more of a crowd because, I mean, not everyone's going to pull as much as say Griffin Burns, who voices Tartaglia.
Yeah.
I only say that because he's at freaking every convention, and he always has a line because people are like, "Oh my god, Tartaglia!" Huh? Which I say that as someone who does play Genshin.
Yeah.
Um, and so like what some cons will do when they set up their guest stuff, like they'll give the bigger, more spacious areas to your VAs, and the cosplayers are like in some tiny corner.
hmm
Um, but Say in Japan gave everyone like the same amount of
Yeah.
space.
hmm
There was no like weird, like they just kind of like had the cosplayers together and then the VAs circling around.
Yeah. And
So
that was
that was
actually.
kind of nice.
Yeah, I actually like that. Actually, it looked like Sand Japan literally printed the banners for everybody because I noticed
Yes,
they were very
and the guests got to keep them because I was talking to
Oh, nice.
Megu, which it was my first time getting to meet Megu in person because we've chatted via Discord some.
hmm
And I was like, "Yeah, that banner's really nice." She's like, "Yeah, and we get to keep them." I was like, "Oh, that's a good banner to
Sweet.
keep."
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Uh
Um,
huh.
so,
Next on the docket.
well, I was gonna say I was gonna talk about some of the thoughts I had about SJ.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
was one actually playing photo assistant Isaiah, um, because he much like say a lot of conventions he'll actually go do photo shoots during cons, and usually he's flying solo for a lot of them. But since because with me having a photography background, and him and I talk about photography quite often, I was
Yes, we
down.
do.
I was definitely down to help him out, and it was very very cool to see how he works through stuff. One, not
I
only in
found it.
convention setting, and also two, what he considers with lighting. Because we have like a lot of creative ways we'll like approach something, and then he had very solid ideas about how he wanted to do stuff, and just went with it and talked me through, hey, can you do this? Can you do this for lights and stuff? And it's really cool to see that. So, like I said, a lot of good perspective there. If anybody who's ever a photographer gets a chance to play assist for somebody else, I would recommend it.
Playing assist is also fun, even as a cosplayer, because for A-Con, I did not end up having time to make Lauren and I's maid dresses because I was working on Edelgard and Saros a lot.
Yeah.
I was also, because that was shortly after I like finished my thesis and defended it and got my master's degree. So there was a lot happening in that like month and a half, 2 months period prior to A-Con. So I didn't make my deadline. It was fine. I still helped with the photo shoot that I was supposed to be a part of since I was kind of the one organizing it. And I got to play assist with Isaiah and hold the light and kind of help with the posing of people.
Yeah.
Because, like, for some of the things, Isaiah was like, okay, you did that one pose and I'm here because I really like this angle. And it was like, okay, what else? Focus with where to go. Okay, it's back. So it kind of helped to have two people with pose ideas.
Yeah.
And also, like, okay, well, you just figured out great framing and you got this other really good photo. Now we need to change it just a little bit, but we don't really want you to move and lose what you got going on over here. And so that's when it's good when you have a cosplayer or a photographer that is kind of aware of, okay, what's a good pose for this? And how can we show off another part of the costume this way? And the lighting. And yeah, in summary, it's great to work with photographers, especially when they're your friends.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say that was
Rob's great to work with. Oh, you're on this side. On Discord, you're on that side.
Yeah,
on OBS, you're on this side.
Yeah, I figured.
Like, Rob is great to work with. Isaiah is great to work with, and assisting for both of them is really fun. Also, if you are at a con in Texas and you want photos taken, both of these people take great photos. Now, Rob doesn't typically do, like, a structured format for shooting, but if he has his camera and he wants some photos taken, he'll be like, sure, we'll take some photos. Isaiah does a bit more formal for like booking and carrying more gear, but they both do fantastic location shoots. Rob also does a lot of studio stuff. I don't know how much studio stuff Isaiah does, because what I've mostly done with him is at a convention or at a specific location. But yeah, there's my plug for the photographers I like to use. Book them.
Well, and also one thing that was also really cool was actually Isaiah experimenting with a printed backdrop this year.
Yeah,
that was completely
I'm excited
new.
to see how more of that comes out.
So, and him and I have been discussing some ideas.
I'm excited, and I hope things get to happen with these ideas you've talked about, because I do think it would add a lot more fun.
Yeah,
especially for cosplayers who like photography, and that's all I'm gonna say about that for now, because we don't want spoilers.
Yep, just need to talk to some people, basically.
Yes.
So for me, also one big thing for me was actually finally able to meet Wiru in person.
Yes.
So for anybody who doesn't know, Wiru actually during the anime time skip was actually streaming quite a bit for crafting.
Yeah, in
streams.
2020, after he moved, he was streaming a lot of Cosplay Progress, like a lot. He was doing it multiple days a week. And so both of us were just kind of like, well, we're just gonna be gremlins in chat. Someone liked to cause chaos, and he's now going to tell a story about the chaos he inflicted upon Wiru.
Well, there's a lot of chaos. So for those who have never seen Wiru streams, one thing he likes to do, especially at the time, especially it was on Friday nights, was he would have...
Or Saturdays.
Or Saturdays, that's true. He would have snacks on his crafting table. And you were allowed, if he cheered bits and whatnot, to come up with various combinations.
So, example, there would be themes like, oh, tonight we're going to make salads.
Or sushi was a very common recurring theme.
I think ice cream was one. There's been a couple of odd things. So it's like a general theme.
Yeah.
And then there's different toppings and sauces you can add to it. So you can make it really good or really chaotic. Yes. Rob, what option did you like to choose?
Chaos. So on top of that, one thing he would usually always have on hand is some sort of hot sauce. Sriracha was pretty common.
Occasionally he would have others, but mostly
Others,
Sriracha.
but yeah. So I was pretty often causing chaos in his streams
Oh
because I'm
yeah.
sitting at home with nothing to do. So why the hell not?
Rob's just like, take my money.
Yes.
Throws
Um,
it in bits.
yes. So I finally actually got to meet him at SJ this year, and what was great was he actually. I'm not going to go into the whole story because I'm going to wait till the video is posted because I know this panel was recorded. He did actually participate in a cosplay horror story panel. And there's one particular piece or one particular story
That is 100% your fault.
that he very specifically called me out during the panel. I was literally sitting on the left-hand side in the fourth row where I knew he should be able to see me. And when he got to that story, he looks at me, points at me, and says, "There's the perpetrator right there." So I got called out by Wiru at San Japan.
Yay.
Um,
Which actually, that reminds me. So he didn't tell this to me. He told it to Rob after the contest because again, so I've been judged by him once before at ACON 2018.
oh no, if it's the bit
you're
I'm
gonna get to
thinking of,
that?
no, if it's the bit I was there because I was just or at his table.
No, you told me this before we went to his table
Oh,
together. at least.
okay.
So I've technically met him in person once before for the contest at ACON, and then trolling under just Tacocat cosplay in the chat, just being like, "Ha ha ha, Rob, what chaos are you gonna cause?" Or being the gremlin there that's like, "Well, I'm learning how to gold work," because at that time I was working on in 2021. I was working on my Hannah Alexander Zelda, which was when I first started to learn gold work, and he was just like, "Oh my god, you're crazy." So I was just that crazy person that did repeat till cry stuff in chat. And so, like, we went through judging, we went through the contest, and I guess after the contest, he told Rob, he was like, I didn't know, like, Tacocat was Tacocat until we were writing down the names. And he's like, that crazy person, the one
Yes.
that does repeat till cry.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he definitely did say that to me.
So that I found that really funny.
Oh yeah, it was because he was so used to either one of us just being text, right?
Yeah, just text,
so
not
long.
like in person.
Yeah,
And also, like, I purposely didn't share any work on Zelda or Pura in his Discord. Occasionally, I would post updates on other things, but I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to post anything of this stuff. So he didn't know what I was doing. He just mentioned at one point he was going to do the horror stories panel, and he was going to tell the hot sauce story. I'm just going to leave it as the hot sauce story.
Yeah,
we're not going to elaborate. But he said he was going to tell a story, the one that Rob was the perpetrator of.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, cool, yeah, we'll try to make it if we can. And because I had said something about, yeah, and I'm also doing the contest with some friends, and that's all I said.
Yeah, she was very good about not sharing a lot of detail, which will be a very.
Apparently on Sunday I was very sneaky because like when I went to the cosplay museum, I was like packing stuff up, and someone was like something, blah blah blah, and then it was like, oh, Tacocat's over there, and I was just like, hello. I am sneaky.
Well, it's kind of like our friend Saru had literally never seen you outside of cosplay before.
Yeah, until OkashiCon.
Well, no, was it out? Did she actually? Oh, okay, yeah.
We hung out a little bit at Okashi.
Yeah, because we went to dinner, right?
But yeah, because they were talking with like Wei and them, and that's when I was just like, hello.
Which is really
hiding
funny.
Over here.
Which is really funny because like we really need like a cosplay bingo card. Like I spotted X cosplayer out of cosplay.
Out of cosplay though.
Yeah.
Which is funny. There was a few people who we talked to at San Japan that knew what I looked like outside of cosplay, even though we hadn't met outside of costume, because they've popped into my Twitch streams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, hello, and they're like, you're Tacocat, right? And blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, just like I don't know this person. And then they're like, oh hi, I'm so and so. I pop into your stream, and it's just like, okay, now I'm not confused because I was very confused there.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about like years ago, one time at OkashiCon, like our friend Sonia played. Like I'd never seen her out of cosplay, and then one time she came up to us in line about something. I'm like, Kristen, who's that? It's like that's Sonia.
Yeah, it's like that's Sonia, and you're just like, oh, okay.
because like I'd literally never seen her out of cosplay before then. So. So.
Though if we do have bingo cards, I probably shouldn't start my con day with like oh, we're going shopping selfie. Because then they know what to look for.
Good.
Right? Because, I mean, even if they're not good with faces, they'd be like, okay, I'm looking for this shirt. If I see someone in this shirt and the curly hair, because that's usually what gets people with me is the curly hairs. Yeah. They look for that. We're going to have to mess with people now.
And work with some others to fill out the bingo cards of some sort. Come up with some other ideas. So if anybody has any ideas, please let us know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make something happen because this is gonna be funny.
Yes. So overall, any other thoughts you've had about SJ this year?
I mean, I already said it. We were surprised. I mean, like, okay, some people are like, how could you be surprised? You make good stuff. And I'm like, but we were surprised. Did you see how many good things there were? And I mean, the thing is, like, you only see things at a glance. You don't get to see everything in the judging room, right?
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, unless you're a judge, you don't know what happens in there for every competitor or your staff that sits in the room. Those people, they hear the nitty-gritty about everything. No one else does. And that's why it's like when some people are like, what do you mean you didn't think you'd win something? Because I even had it with like Edelgard and Sarah. So I was like, yeah, I mean, there's a list of things I wanted to fix on them. I can tell you that. Did I think we were going to win something? No. And I got the, why? It's good stuff. And it's like, yeah, but other people make good stuff too. So it's...
Well, yeah, and I was going to say that kind of going along.
We've talked about this. It's an odd thing.
Yeah, I was going to say kind of going along those lines. When I was sitting, quote unquote, in the handlers area, watching the contest, and then when they started announcing awards, it was kind of like it wasn't super clear to me about who would get what.
And it's never like some people say like cough. Isaiah's like, I think I'm better at getting an idea of what the judges are leading to. Especially after you see all the walk-ons. For me, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Because, again, like, someone could have handmade the lace on their costume, and you wouldn't know that at a glance.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's a lot you don't know unless, like, you know that build personally or you were in the judge's room.
Yeah.
Which, when you consider that, that's why it's like I can say, this costume... from where I've seen it, looks very well constructed. Does that mean all the nitty-gritty details are well constructed? And that there's something else that appears simpler, isn't, like, cleaner? Right? So there's that weird scale of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, so basically, it is easy to bamboozle me, because Lauren... the running thing is, I was actually telling Rob earlier, Lauren always tells my mom before we compete... She's just kind of like, okay, actually, backtrack. Akon was a good example of this, because after everyone went on, because they had it streaming, they did the Hall Contest Awards, and my mom was like, oh, darn, the girls didn't win anything, let me hop off. And because Lauren had even said, yeah, there's good stuff, we're probably not going to get something. So she stopped, she got off the stream. Now, my mom didn't realize that was the Hall Contest Awards, not the main contest awards.
Oh, okay.
And... so, because she was like, well, I mean, they said they didn't think they would get something. Next thing she knows, within 10 minutes, Lauren is blowing up her phone like, oh my god. Or even better, there's an audio in Messenger from Akon last year, because that was not streamed. And, like, again, Lauren talks to my mom, she's like, yeah, no, there's no way we're getting anything. I mean, we're stuck competing at Masters now, because that was our first time competing at the Master level together. Because in 2021, at MechaCon, I won Best in Show with Kyra. And we both went from Journeyman into Masters. So that was kind of a jump up there. Yeah. And so the first time competing with Lauren after that was Akon. And we were just kind of like, no, it's not going to happen. We're not winning anything. So then after the contest, Lauren sent an audio to my mom. I was like, oh my god, what Mr. Giraffe? And it's just like this chaos gremlin audio clip. Have I shown that clip to you?
I don't think so, no.
I'll have to see if I can dig it out and send it to you, because it's freaking hilarious.
Okay.
But yeah, we're easy to bamboozle, because we're just like, everything else is so good, we're not going to win anything.
And then... last announcement, it's you assholes.
Sorry. But I mean, yeah, everything in the contest was really great. And it was a lot of fun hanging out with people, though another thing, again, I was chatting with Rob earlier. It was a little bit odd, because we typically don't do as big of costumes that end up in the bulky section, because Rob saw how packed our cart was.
Oh, yeah.
Because
God,
we
yes.
had our costumes, we had Lauren's friend Kat, her costume. So we had 3 suitcases, a cooler, my duffel bag, Lauren's duffel bag, I think 5 garment bags total. So
yeah.
the Ford Escape was full. We fit 3 people. There's no way we could have fit another person in this car. So we don't tend to do very bulky things because we already travel with a lot of crap. And so usually we sit with like the bulk of the competitors and chat with more people. Well, this time our RAV4 fully packed.
Yeah, Isaiah brought the kitchen.
I know, he brought a little mini fridge. So
it worked well.
This time, sitting with the bulkies, like we weren't sitting with as many people, so we got to chat a little bit more with the 2 people closest to us, and then other people occasionally would get up and come over to chat.
Yeah.
But we tried to like stay out of the way over in a little corner. So that was fun but odd, because also like for the contest portion, while everyone else was lined up, the bulkies were like backstage with their little like seated area, and then you were just gonna like pop into the line right before like the ramp. So we figured out who was in front of us, but we didn't get to talk to the people before or after us because we were never near them. So that made it a little bit odd.
Okay.
In some ways, like it was cool because again, we got to talk more with like some other people. So we talked to fewer people during it, but we had more time to talk to the people we did talk to.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting, but because we were with the bulkies, we got seats backstage, so that was nice.
Because I know that was something you and I were talking about. Well, and actually a few other people in the Texas server were talking about. It's like, I hope we have like some way to sit, which thankfully...
Yeah, with where they have it, like they don't really have a full-on green room that the cosplayers could sit in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it worked. I mean, they did have plenty of seating space. It's just like during the contest, you couldn't sit there and do it.
Yeah.
But yay being in the bulkies because we had 4 people plus 2 handlers. But yeah, it was fun. We did some good shopping. Some very good shopping.
Very good shopping.
I got some funny shirts, some funny prints. Sydney got a freaking hilarious mouse pad.
Oh God,
that's
yes.
Like think like the more you learn star, but it's Kirby, and it's like you tried, you did your best. I love it though.
Yes, that was a good purchase. I actually only purchased one thing, and I was going to actually mount it back here, but
okay.
I'll have to do that for next stream. I was gonna say, anything else about SJ for you specifically?
It was fun.
Yeah,
but I can't let myself leave so much hand sewing till the end. I did a lot of hand sewing in the hotel room.
Yeah, please do not do that again. I keep telling you, and
hey, I try not to, but I make 2 costumes in like 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say, so there was one small thing that was different, and then one big thing that wasn't. The one small thing that was different in all the years I used to go to SJ was typically in that space between the Gonzales Center and the Grand Hyatt. People would be hanging out in that space till like really late at night.
Yeah.
Just chilling, hanging out, whatever.
You mean like near the theater or where?
Yeah, near the theater. Yeah.
Okay.
This year
probably because they didn't technically rent that area, so staff probably told people not to hang out there.
Well, that's what I was wondering because they had that one food truck there this year. So I wondered if that was part of it, was because that space was quote unquote in use.
I don't know.
But it was still kind of weird, like not have people there, like at damn near all hours. So that was one weird thing. But that's pretty small. The one big thing I picked up from this year was, even though it's a much larger area, there's a lot more going on. And, they were bringing in a lot more guests, a lot more virtual guests, with the VTubers. SJ hasn't changed. And I mean that in a good way. Yeah,
like, it's a big con, because they broke their record for attendance, because I think that's where you're going, right? So it was over 24K this year. Prior to pandemic, it was like 20K floating somewhere around there, maybe 21.
Around 20, yeah.
And I had to say, in 2019, it felt like a packed con when we were there, right? With like how people would clog up and stuff. This year, because of how they had everything spaced, like you knew it was busy, but I would not have guessed they broke their record for attendees.
Yeah, that was kind of surprising
Because it didn't
when that was mentioned.
feel like you had 24,000 people packed in there at some point.
Yeah.
So, like, it feels smaller than it is, I guess. Is that what I'm saying? I'm not, like, they space things out well enough that you don't know that it's that many people because it wasn't that congested.
Yeah. I think
So,
it's a pretty,
which is like,
apt
what
description.
small cons do is, they tend to not have it where it feels that packed. It was more expanded. Yes. It's stretched. It's definitely stretched out, and it stretched the attendance, but to where you get that like same vibe of it's not more packed at San Japan, but it's bigger and there's more people and there's more guests.
Yeah.
And San Japan is just growing. But keeping the character and the soul.
Yeah, very much so. Like, it was still San Japan to me. So, and like I said, I mean that in a good way. And hopefully that, that continues with whatever they plan, for future events. So,
who's making big dresses next year? Hey, the theme is quinceañera. If you're ever gonna make a big dress for San Japan, next year is your year. And I support the making of big dresses. Please join the ball gown creators cult.
Oh God, I don't know. I did toss one idea to you about me specifically. So.
Yeah. Which, if I have time, we can make that happen. But I don't know. It depends on what I decide to do for next year. I don't know yet. I have a few ideas, but I don't have my year planned. Also, I need to like crack my back.
Crack your back.
Yeah.
So, when
Gundam.
Who's making?
He's gonna be Big Robot.
Yes.
Because quinceañera, big things.
Yes. So actually, completely outside of San Japan. Any last things for today's stream? It's been a while since we've done one of these.
Yeah, it has been a while. We need to plan more things, which we have some stuff. Oh yeah, we have a lot of stuff on the list, and hopefully now that I am out of Con Crunch hell, even though I am moving into two sort of kind of big builds to do in 3 months again. Hopefully things are a little bit more spaced out so that we can do more MTA stuff to bring you more info and fun chats and whatever else we decide to do.
Yep. Of course, Kirsten will be bringing back her crafty streams on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Yes, Tuesday. Just then.
And then we'll also be bringing back our gaming, our gaming streams on Thursdays.
Yes.
Whether they'll be Genshin or Final Fantasy 14, because God.
The critically acclaimed MMO Final Fantasy 14 soon play free to level 70.
Because God damn it, I am playing more of that game.
Yes, you are.
I have Archer to level 36 and Arcanist to level 30, so that must say something. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. I said I would never play that game, and now...
And I got him.
Look where the fuck I am. But you still need to play EDF, Kirsten.
I do. We need to plan it. We need to make an EDF night, guys. That's going to Twitch, too.
Which is really funny, considering, like, Carol plays it, and we convince Isaiah to buy it.
Yeah, we'll have to get something going.
We convinced Isaiah to buy it. I think we convinced Robin to buy it, so...
And I think Sydney was thinking about it. So we'll have to, like, do something, because I think you said it's a max of 4, so maybe we'll, like, have people rotate in and out.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
No, we'll figure that out in the future, but regardless, more things to come to the MTA streams soon.
Yep, so,
whether it's cosplay or games.
Yep. So, Kirsten, you want to tell them where to find you?
Yeah, I'm everywhere as Tacocat Cosplay.
Pretty much. And of course, you can find us pretty much on IG as Make Them Awesome, and then of course also MakeThemAwesome.com. We will actually be uploading this video to the MTA YouTube because for some reason...
I kind of forgot about that.
Well, and I was also going to say, also because for some reason Twitch has been dropping streams this afternoon, which is kind of dumb, but oh well. That's why I record these to put to YouTube just in case. So, in any case, you know where to find us. And as always, get dumb ideas, make them awesome. We'll see you next time.
And make them sparkly!